Oh, hey. Let's make an arrangement. With me, Olivia.
Sunday morning, I walk into my room, and I have no idea what to do.
Let's prep our vase. Tonight we're using chicken wire as our mechanic. Grab your tool of choice and fill your vase about 3/4 of the way full. Here I'm demonstrating how to fold your chicken wire into a ball. I like to use hot dog style and then tuck in the sides. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to fit. Me again. Let's grab our ingredients, and if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend separating your flowers and your greenery. Let's get started. Find your mini green hydrangea. Although they're in the greens bucket, they are the first flower we're going to be working with today as our base. They look like these, big green puffs, and they've got a sturdy stem and large leaves. You want to go ahead and pull off any of those bottom leaves so that they don't prevent you from getting your stem into the vase. I like to go ahead and prep all of my stems at once so that I can just continuously use them. I'm going to start by making a 45-degree angle cut on my stem at my desired length. To find that length, I'm going to measure my stem against my vase. For reference, this is a 5-inch cylinder, so you want to make sure that you have at least 5 inches of length on your stem before the flower head. I'm going to repeat that process 3 more times with my remaining stems going around the rim of my vase, almost in a square pattern. I always recommend cutting longer than shorter because you can always cut again. As I am deciding about the length of my stems, I'm thinking about the overall footprint that I want this arrangement to have, shape and size. And I'm kind of going to go for what we call a football shape, where it is more narrow on 2 sides and wider on 2 sides to kind of create an elongated shape and not so roundy-moundy. Next, we're going to go for our first greenery of the evening, and that is our locally grown hydrangea tip foliage. It's this really pretty bright green. You should have about 3 stems of this. Your stem might look different than mine, of course. We'll need to do some trimming to get some usable pieces for our arrangement. This hydrangea tip is fairly new growth, so when you're cutting it up, you want to make sure that the leafy green part that you want to use is still attached to the woody stem, meaning you will need to cut along the woody stem above the lateral that you want to use to ensure that it has still a piece of the woody stem attached to the leaves. Go ahead and keep prepping all of your pieces, and remember to still remove any low-lying leaves that might go into the water. Once you have your pieces prepped, I'm going to go ahead and start by placing one stem between each of my mini green hydrangea along the rim of my vase, and then I will fill in to the center of my arrangement with my other pieces. The next ingredient you'll want to pull from your bucket will be our green viburnum, characterized by its multiple green poofs along its woody stem. You should have 3 stems of this viburnum. We'll go ahead and follow the same practice as cleaning up the stems to be usable, so any low-lying arms or offshoots need to be removed, so we have a nice cluster at the top to use while remaining on the woody stem. I'm going to place these stems to enhance my elongated football shape, as well as to help me continue to fill in the center and cover all of my chicken wire mechanics. Our next ingredient will be our single stem of umbrella fern. Since we're only working with a single stem, I'm going to place this guy kind of shooting off to the side, complementing this elongated shape that I'm going for. Now we're ready to finally add some color. Look for your purple hellebore. You should have about 3 stems. As always, we'll need to do some editing to make our pieces usable by splitting up the stems and removing any low-lying leaves. Hellebore have this wonderful natural bounce to them that I want to use to my advantage in continuing this elongated football shape. So I'm going to make sure I have a few pieces kind of shooting out to the side, as well as tucking some down lower for a shadow effect. Our next ingredient will be our Gemstar spray roses. You should have 4 stems of these. Be careful while pulling them out, as they do have tiny thorns. Remove all of the leaves from your stems. As well as any lower offshoots that would prevent your stem from getting into your chicken wire. I'm going to place these stems pretty evenly throughout my arrangement, so I have a nice blend of hot pink throughout. Now let's bring out the stars of our show this evening, Miss Peony. We'll start with our 3 stems of hot pink first. I want to pair these with my hot pink spray roses. They're almost the identical shade, and I really just want to have a solid saturation of that hot pink together. Next, we'll pull out our 4 stems of this beautiful blush peony. You shouldn't have to do much cleanup with your peony stems, but if you have a leaf or 2, go ahead and remove them. As we add more and more to our arrangement, you'll need to extend the length that you leave on your stem when cutting your flower. You want to make sure that they have enough to still be seen and not have to be tucked so low. Since we have 4 stems, I made sure to group at least 2 of them together. Moving on, we'll want to pull our garden roses. This delicious pinky peach garden rose is called a miyabi. You should have 3 stems of her. These may have some thorns, so please be careful. For my arrangement, I'm going to use this miyabi rose as a blender between my shades of pink. So I'm going to pair it next to my pale blush peonies. Next, we'll pull our clematis from our bucket. You should have 2 stems of this lavender clematis. Go ahead and remove the lower lying leaves and offshoots so that you have just a cute tuft at the top to work with. I love the natural bounce that these guys have, and I'm going to use that to accentuate that elongated width that I'm going for. Next, we'll pull our 3 stems of lavender scabiosa. These guys just add a nice little highlight amongst the deep pinks, as well as a cute little texture amongst all of the fluffy petals. Next, we'll move on to some of our more delicate greens like this sword fern. I'm going to prep all of my stems so I can just pop them in. I believe you have 5 or 6 pieces of the sword fern. This stuff is really great to just enhance the overall shape that you want to go for, so I'm definitely going to group a couple of them off to the side for my football shape. And the reason that I don't put these in any earlier is you'll notice the stem is super duper delicate, and I don't want them to get broken inside the vase when I put other flowers in, so I save them for later on. Everything is so fluffy at this point, it's hard to tell, but the football is there, I promise. Next, we're going to go for our blueberry branch. This is a very special, very favored greenery of the season. We get it from one of our wonderful local growers for a very short period of time, but we absolutely love it. The berries provide just the most adorable little texture to anything it goes in. And it's just so cute. Who doesn't love berries? So I'm going to work on breaking up my stems into small, delicate, usable pieces. These branches have a lot of leaves and offshoots on them, but most of what we want is just cute little tufts of the berries for details. So I'm going to be paring down quite a bit to get those delicate detail pieces. Don't toss any berries that might fall. I personally like to use them for styling later on, as you'll see. Also, please don't eat them. Talk about low-hanging fruit. I'm not sure how berries grow on branches like these, but I liked the idea of them being clustered lower, kind of drooping over my vase and in my arrangement, so that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be harder and harder to get your stems in as we continue, so just be delicate. And don't think I forgot our final flower of the evening, the ever so popular fan favorite, ranunculus. You should have 3 stems of these deep plum ranunculus. This is going to be a great contrast with all of these shades of pink that we have. I'm going to use my stems to create almost a triangle pattern with all of them sitting higher up in the arrangement. Ranunculus have a straw-like stem, which makes them more delicate and prone to breakage, so just be careful and patient while you're trying to get them in here. Before your arrangement is complete, take this moment to make any adjustments that you feel are needed. And finally, for our finishing touch, we have jasmine vine. You should have 3 pieces of this adorable detail, and we're just going to be funky with it. I'm going to use the natural curvature. I'm going to extend some height on this stem and let it have some whimsy to it. Because why not? After all, this garden was grown for a goddess. As we near the end of our design time and you make your final adjustments, I just have one thing to remind everyone of, and that is to please water your garden, literally and metaphorically speaking. You don't have to do this part. I'm just playing with my berries. Thank you for joining us. And as always, congratulations, designers. You've made an arrangement. See you next time.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Females made you just to trick me, trick me, trick me, trick me.